just walked what seemed like 400 meters, but it's actually 1.37 or something. Sorry about the wind. So this is the Mongers Lake pan, and you might be able to see our tracks. We can't see the car. It's basically to the left of the sun and down on the horizon. So when you walk out on these pans, the size of them are just amazing, and there were lots of flies about, a bit of wind, but still an amazing place. If you look at some of these photos, this is a flat spot next to Mongers Lake, and that little hill there just seems so close, and there seems to be water around it, but it is quite a bit further than you may think. So some of these photos were progressively snapped as we got closer. Lots of emu tracks, lots of dingo tracks, and also the odd camel track, believe it or not, out on the lake. When you get to the center, when you get to this island, it's very rocky, so it's surprising that in the middle of this massive expanse of flat which goes all around it, there's this very rocky outcrop in the middle of it. This is the old Fields Mine graveyard after an accident there in the late 1800s. We got to the 4 Mile Well camp spot that afternoon. That's where we set up just before sunset. Another beautiful spot that we've marked on terra maps, and you get these magical sunsets as you only seem to get out in the outback. You'll see the orange color. This is not touched. You'll see the sky is not saturated at all. It's just the color of the light that you can see there getting cast onto the white car. Some more of the photos will follow in a second. I mean, you can see just what it looks like. It's pretty amazing. We made a fire, cooked some Scotch fillet that night. It was fantastic.
Silence.
From there we spent the night, got up the next morning just to enjoy this absolutely quiet, stunning spot, washed our faces and all those usual things. I can't remember if we had breakfast, but snapped these photos. So there's still some water in this dam, and you can see at the base of the well, as well as the next camp spot you'll see in a little bit. But from there we went up to Yalgoo, which was about 60 k's away, and along the way there we stopped at a couple of camp spots that again we've marked on terra maps. This is a cliff spot probably about 10 k's north of where we were, on our way to Joker's Tunnel, which is just short of Yalgoo, and this is what we come to look at. Again, you get the typical red dirt that you get as you go further north, and some of the unique plants and that kind of thing up on the way. So that's the tunnel, you can see right through it.
A bit windy. We got to Joker's Tunnel near Yalgoo. I'm just going to duck in the road there now and go and have a bit of a squiz.
So lots of crickets in the mine. You can see us videoing them there. They're probably a little bit hard to see, but I'm guessing that's what the bats feed on. So the mine's completely, or the tunnel is horizontal. The story of it is they started digging out this mine and took out 50 kilos of rock and found 3 kilos of gold. And then after that, pretty much nothing, which is really ironic in a way. This is just walking out when you exit the tunnel. On the eastern side, you just get this massive flat expanse in front of you, and there's a salt pan in the distance. And this photo shows you that salt pan nicely. But there's beauty in that solitude, and that's the mine. You can see some of the colours of the different rocks in there. A nicer photo of one of the bats. And this is Yalgoo. We got there about midday, ironically just as the pub opened. The pub's only open between 12 and 2 o'clock for reasons I couldn't determine. But yeah, some of the touristy spots. So this is inside the pub, and if you go back to the early 1920s, there were lots of horse races. There was obviously a lot of money back then. But this is just us outside the hotel. Beautiful little town. A lot of these outback towns are. On the way out, we stopped again, snapped some photos and some video. And this is when we were heading towards Mount Magnet. So on the way from Mount Magnet down to Woburn, near Ningen Station, we turned off into the bush and followed a track on Terra Maps and found this working windmill.
Nothing and nobody. About 8 k's from the road in the bush.
Sorry, I found this windmill with lots of bees and lots of water you'll see around. So marked it on Terra Maps. We would have camped there, but we were alone and I was a bit paranoid about the car's battery. So we decided not to camp here that night simply because it was way too remote, no radio reception, and we'd be in a spot of trouble if the car didn't start. I've since actually gone and bought one of those lithium polymer jumper kits for the car. But yeah, definitely looking forward to coming back here with some mates, or now we can actually do it. Lots of bees, as I mentioned. We couldn't find the actual hive, but obviously drinking water at the trough and on the windmill itself as well. Yeah, beautiful spot.
We had lots of healthy chocolates and healthy chips today. So rather than take out the meat for supper, we're making toasted ham and cheese on this sesame seed sourdough, some avocado. There's the wipes just in there. And there's just a water pump running somewhere down near mine. But camp set, we're going to make the fire in a little bit and then enjoy what will probably be a spectacular evening because there are no clouds, none. Alles is mooi. Spur barbecue sauce.
That evening we had beautiful clear skies. A couple of clouds there, but late in the night it all cleared up and we just had these magnificent starscapes and photos. And you'll see some of them in a minute. But again, just very quiet. Just us out there in the bush. I saw or heard 1 or 2 cars pass. There's a mining track not too far from here, about half a k or kilometre. Which is why, as I said before, we decided to camp the other night simply because if something were to go amiss, we'd be able to get somebody to come and give us a jump start. But look at those night skies, just spectacular.